We're going to start on problem number 2 of the worksheet for ionic bonding. Important to note that in an ionic bond you have a metal bonding with a nonmetal, and so your electrons are going to be transferred. And so what we need to do in this problem is show the transfer of electrons in the following combinations. Now for magnesium and iodine, magnesium is your metal and iodine is your nonmetal, which means magnesium is your cation, meaning it will be the one to give its electrons, and iodine is the nonmetal, meaning it will gain the electrons. And so the first step in these problems is first to identify what the charge is going to be on each element. Now magnesium is in group 2, and so it has a +2 charge. Iodine, on the other hand, is in group 7, and so we know that iodine is going to need to gain 1, and if it gains 1 electron, then it's going to have a -1 charge. So that's the first step in this problem, is to just identify the charge. The next step is to do something that we call the criss-cross method, and the criss-cross method involves taking the charges for each of those elements and crossing them over to the opposite element. And what this does is it balances the equation for you. It tells you how many atoms of each element you'll need to have a balanced equation. So if we crisscross these elements, we'll get Mg1 because the 1 is crossed down from the charge on iodine, and I2. You only transfer the numbers, you don't transfer the charges. Now, this is essentially the same thing as Mgi2. If the subscript is a 1, you don't have to write it, it's implied. Okay, so now to show the transfer of electrons for this equation, we need to draw out our electrons. And so we have 1 magnesium, and if magnesium is in group 2, then it has 2 valence electrons. Now iodine, each iodine, it's in group 7, and so each one of those will have 7 valence electrons. So to show this, I'm going to use a different color, and we start, remember, at the top, and we work our way around clockwise until we get 7, and I'm going to draw the other one on the opposite side. And so now what you can see is what's going to happen is this magnesium is going to give its electron to iodine, and the valence electron in magnesium over here is going to give its electron to iodine. And so our total formula, our end formula, is going to be, change colors, I with 8 dots around it, magnesium, and then I again with another 8 dots around it. And what we've done here is made it to where magnesium now has a full valence shell, and so do both iodines. And so both elements are happy.